All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. So recently I drove the 2023 Acura Integra, and a lot of you guys actually did not like my review. It's very disappointing. I tried to make a little bit of a point comparing the DC2 kind of philosophy with the new Integra, and I think a lot of you guys missed the point. So, of course, naturally, I brought out a DC5 Integra Type R, very authentic JDM here in Canada, and then of course the DC2 Integra Type R, two of the last analog real driver's cars with motorsport focus that Honda ever built. You know, things have changed, but back then these stuck to a formula that the new Integra didn't really come with out of the box. But what I'm hoping with maybe the Type S Integra, the new one, that they come back a little bit to these roots. So let's go for a drive. A few weeks ago, I drove a DC2 Type R for the very first time, and here today, we have brought out the natural competitor. Of course, there are a lot of competitors, a lot of other competitors to the DC2 Type R, especially from the time, front wheel drive, naturally aspirated, motorsport pedigree. But this is like, the DC5 is the final iteration of that iconic formula that Honda became so well known for in the 90s, and that was carried over into the DC5 for a brief period of time, and to a certain extent in the FD2 Civic Type R that I drove not too long ago as well. And right off the bat, I can already feel, even though this one is lowered on teen springs, that's pretty much the only modification here, it feels very buckled down, very stiff already, and very track focused. So let's just dive in. Yeah, biggest difference is the DC5 is like, you know, while it's not all that heavy when compared to the DC2, it's actually, the DC2 is about 2,400 pounds, DC5 here is about 2,600 pounds. So looks are kind of deceiving here. For a lot of people, the thing that turns them off from this generation, the DC5, is the fact that, yeah, it's a little bit taller, it's a little bit bigger, it doesn't have that 90s styling anymore, it's a little bit more rounded off, and it doesn't carry that same real low, small Civic Type R look. But that that disappears immediately once you get behind the wheel. So what's the formula? Well, you guys already know it, okay? VTEC, small displacement. At the time, of course, the B18 in the Integra Type R and the Civic Type R was horsepower per liter, the most powerful naturally aspirated engine ever built. And then, of course, even though that we know competition breeds innovation, it happened as such, but just within Honda. So, of course, the S2000 came later and then one-upped that accolade. Here in the DC5, they upped, of course, the displacement of the engine. It's got the K20 instead of the B18. This version of the K20 in the DC5 Type R does have kind of the same formula buckled down upon it. There's more to it. The camshafts are different. I believe the pistons are different. It does have higher compression than the Type S K20. So as far as like piercing through the naturally aspirated world of Honda and kind of diving deeper into that well, they did that here. They went even further. They did not stick a turbo on it just yet. Despite the obvious comparison to the RSX here in North America, I can assure you they'll come for you if you call it that. A few aesthetic tweaks aside, this is that spine-jarring formula taken to its conclusion. 217 NA horsepower, weight reduction, stiffer springs and shocks, a helical LSD, short ratio 6-speed, 4-piston Brembo brakes, Recaro seats, and a Momo steering wheel. That is what makes me wonder what RSX Type S owners tell themselves to fall asleep peacefully at night. This Type R needs no introduction, and that was only compounded by the turbo era itself. And if you guys haven't already, feel free to check out roadsuntraveled.com. You can find all of our embroidered engine code key tag designs. especially the ones for you Honda people. So hit the link in the description if you want to check it out, and let's get back in the car. Yeah, just after 6,000 VTEC hits. It's fun, it keeps you engaged. It follows every little track in the road if you're pulling in VTEC. It's really interesting though, like the steering is very direct and you think you have great feel until you actually load it up, and then you feel the connection to the tires like deepens even more. And then mid-corner you can really feel what those tires are doing. Super direct. It still has kept that, you know, it hasn't sacrificed and gone for a more pedestrian steering feel. Even a little bit of torque steer there coming out of the corner. Wow. All the way to 8,400 RPM. 215s all around for tires. Standard was a 17-inch. Just so direct. Now the owner of this car, Eliza, she says that the rear end steps out quite a bit. It does have a very heavy skew towards lift-off oversteer, which is exactly why we love these cars, which is exactly why cars like the DC2 have shot up in value recently. You can just jump in, heel toe. It makes you feel like a professional driver out of the box. That's what these cars are so good at. They do not need modifications to make you feel like a hero. This is the legend though. This is the legend. As close as the DC5 could come to the DC2, there is no touching this car. There's absolutely no touching the DC2. Surprisingly enough, way better visibility here in the DC2, and a little bit more of a hunkered down experience as far as driving position goes. Definitely lighter steering. Just as quick of a steering rack though, so much stiffer. I know Gerwin does have a little bit more of an aggressive suspension setup going on here. Way less sound deadening. This one actually has a thinner windscreen than the standard GSR Integra. About 96 pounds, I believe, was taken out of the original Integra to provide what we're seeing here today. And it's our lucky day. We've got a Lexus IS ahead of us that maybe will be down to play a little bit. Wow. There is zero sound deadening in this car. Like if you wanted to strip away a car and make it just a skeleton of what it once was in the best way possible, this is what you get. You know, all of the feel from this car, most of it, 90% of it comes through the DC5. What doesn't come through is that like raw mechanical feel and sound from the B18. The K20 doesn't really have that. It's a better engine by all accounts. It's more powerful, it's got more torque. I mean, it's about the same to rev up. They both very free revving. They're both very free revving engines, and they kick up real quickly on the downshift. But I don't know, the DC2 just kind of wraps around you a little bit more. Couple of pops from the exhaust there. VTEC kicks way earlier. So much louder. It's got a full titanium exhaust, this one. Coming out of a corner, you do have to fight the steering a little bit more with the K20 than the B18. The B18 just, it just rewards the red line just that much more. I mean, the resonance from the engine is ridiculous. There is so much more noise here, so much more noise.
man. How's it going? Good.
Eliza.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you for that, by the way.
Absolutely.
It's not too often, especially for you guys down in the States, to see both the DC2 and the DC4, sorry, not DC4, DC5 together, which is kind of crazy. So you tell me, first off, how long have you had this car and what made you buy it?
I've had it for about 4 months now, and I bought it because I'm actually from Ontario, not BC. Came out here for a little bit of an adventure, and I wanted to get a car to bring back home with me that I couldn't easily get in Ontario. So I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and was looking at some Subis and just a couple Integras, Preludes as well. And I came across a DC2. That really caught my eye, so I sold immediately. And then this popped up the next day, and I jumped on it immediately. I couldn't let it pass up, and here we are. Ended up moving for the car, so yeah.
From what I can see, you drive it a lot.
I do. It's my daily here. I love the fact that it's right-hand drive. It's an import, you know, and most people don't really get to see that anymore. Also, seeing that it's a girl driving, they don't really expect that either. So I mean, it's a pretty fun flex. Biggest thing, I guess, is unless it was an RSX, people would just think it was up-badged, and no, it's the real deal.
I've driven a RSX, probably like the last time I drove an RSX was probably like 10 years ago or something. Yeah, but the motor is definitely better than the B18 for sure, 100%. There's no doubt. Like K series is just a better motor overall. B18, if you want like a screaming high RPM motor, yeah, go with the B18. It's fun. It's a very lively motor. I personally, kind of a purist when it comes to Hondas. I would never swap my car. I would just keep it B. Yeah. But yeah, you were talking about, is the car worth what it's worth now?
Yeah.
I'd say no. I'd say no, yeah. For like the amount of money you pay for this car right now, I don't know, you definitely can get better performing cars for the money, but...
Well, and just even the condition that it's in too, like, you don't find any like this anymore.
Yeah.
DC2 Integra Type RX.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What separates the X?
So RX, you get, I may be wrong, but it comes with the factory tints. You get the keyless remote, which is super rare. I think it only comes in the RX and the SIRG. You get a little bit of interior differences. You get like the blue tint on the carbon fiber. You get the RX specific pedals, and that's about it. It's a 98 spec. I wanted one with AC, HID headlights, and yeah. For daily, it's up to you. It's a pretty rough ride. My car has I believe a 14K spring rate in the front and a 16K in the rear, so it's not the softest ride. It's not the most comfortable. It's not for everyone. I had 4 Hondas before this car. Had a SI, a couple of CRVs, and yeah, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted the Type R, specifically one with the JDM front end. I tried to buy one probably like 8 years ago with the JDM front end, didn't work out. Then I had the money to buy the Type R in 2018, and I got it super cheap. I'm sure you know, I don't want to say the price, but I got it pretty cheap. And I initially bought this car to be a daily beater. Then over the years, I just grew to love the car. Then the whole JDM hype, the car shot up in value. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just keep the car, just keep it forever.
Car accounts Integra. I got L Vision for my photos. I'm also a dancer too. It's actually one of the reasons why I came to BC, just for getting all of that together and some exposure.
Sweet, well thanks for letting me drive your car.
No worries, thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. How in the world, how was Honda able to make, seriously, a car like this that is so daily drivable and effortless to just putt around, but also at the same time like really shine in the corners and on the straights? It's truly incredible. Like, the DC5 is not what I initially ever thought it was. I always expected the DC5 to be just a little bit more dumbed down than the DC2, and you know what? Way more of the DNA shines through here than I was expecting. Way more. If not all of it. If not all of it. Now, you know, there are B18 purists out there who will say B18 over K20 all day long. A little bit of torque steer there, not much though. But the K20 is a great engine. This is one of those, like, the last of. And, you know, I don't want to sound like all of the good things about the DC5 Type R have really gone away from most modern cars, but they really have. They really have. And no one's really made, or I should say, the effects that this car has on me as a driver, and should have on you if you experience the same thing as I am right now, have just been pushed up the price brackets in new cars. Like, where do you get NA car, 8,400 RPM, and a manual? Where do you get that? You get that in a 911 GT3, right? Anyways, you guys, great drive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can follow everybody in the links below. You can hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. You can subscribe if you haven't already. This one was a day to remember.